What's happening in West Texas sports from the high schools to the colleges? We have your answers. We go from the Permian Basin to the South Plains to the Texas Panhandle. We have you covered. Thank you so much for watching West Texas Sports Extra. I am Greg Kerr. Let's bring in our panelists for today's session of West Texas Sports Extra. There's Maya Kitchens from KFDA in Amarillo. She's the weekend sports anchor and sports reporter. Of course, sports director Pete Christie from KCBD in Lubbock, and Jensen Young, sports director at KOSA in Odessa. Thank you everyone for being with us today. This is very exciting. Maya, this is your first trip down the West Texas Sports Extra travels, and it's just kind of exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. And
all right,
welcome in.
We've kind of done this
together sometimes.
Right, we've done this the last several times, but introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, I'll get started. Like Greg said, my name is Maya Kitchens. I'm a sports reporter and anchor here at News Channel 10. I've been here a little over a year and a half, and I, do what's needed. We cover everything and 100% local sports.
All right, and you also went to where? Missouri for college?
I went to the University of Missouri.
Go
First
Fighting!
And best journalism school in the country.
Okay,
I don't know about that.
Talk to her about that, Pete and Jensen.
I don't know. We got to go with the Florida Gators here.
Man, I got to go with Syracuse. They won't get you the job, but it gets you the interview. And if you can't sell yourself on the interview, you don't deserve the job. So I always bring it. I always get the job.
Right on.
Let's go Syracuse.
And I went to Central Oklahoma, but also went to North Texas. That's where I got my broadcasting career started, doing radio on campus. So, okay. All right. I didn't go to Syracuse or Missouri or Florida, but here we are today all together.
Zach will say Arizona State, but I always joked with him, both of us ended up in the same place, so we both have the same claim to fame.
Oh, believe me, we know about Zach and his Arizona State situation, don't we, Pete? Yeah, a little too much.
Yeah, he sure likes to talk. I'm surprised he's not talking now, and he's not even here. I'm sure he could figure it out how to do it. Infiltrate today and talk. All he wants to do is talk about Arizona State. It's sickening.
Yeah, leave us a message, Zach.
Yeah. Zach is, by the way, on his way down in San Antonio. We have a couple of Panhandle teams in the girls' state championship game, so he is on his way. We wish him safe travels, and hopefully our teams will bring back the gold ball. That's super exciting. Yes.
Crossing our fingers.
What do you think, Maya? They have a chance?
I am the worst jinxer in the history of jinx, so
okay.
I will just wish them luck and be on my way.
All right. At least we appreciate your honesty. All right, everybody. Let's get into our little, a little discussion about what kind of came down this week on the NCAA Rules Committee finally stepping up and saying no more with the short shorts in college football. So now, just like the old days, not too terribly long ago, that the football pants had to go down below the knee with the knee pad. At least, I'm not sure if there's going to have to be a knee pad involved, but the pants have to be below the knee. I'm thinking, number one, it's a safety thing, I guess. And number two, I don't know. It's just my opinion. It looks kind of dumb. Pete, let's start off with you. What are your thoughts on this? Have you heard anything from Texas Tech regarding this?
Oh, I haven't heard anything from Texas Tech, but obviously, first thing they say is why they're doing it. It's a safety issue, and so I'm on board if it's for safety. But I also think it's they want it all uniform and aesthetically pleasing, and to see some of these guys that might be in some club on Friday night wearing that. We don't need that in football. This is a man's sport.
Exactly. You could be out mowing the lawn in some of these
I don't know.
pants.
I mean, no offense. I'm going to sleep either way tonight. This topic, I want to play the games, whatever they're playing. That's what we want to see the game. I don't care what they're wearing.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, Jensen, let me know your take on this because you went to Florida. It's got a classic uniform. Do you like the fact that they're going back to below the knee now? Or were you okay? You're younger, so you may like the high-rise pants.
Yeah, my generation is a little bit more okay with kind of bending the traditions of a uniform or something of the sort. My watching has come up with when the Supreme armbands were in the NBA as well, and they were like, yeah, don't do those. I'm in favor of not doing those. Don't just have like a random brand on there. I'm okay with the pants being a little bit higher. There was a couple of guys on the roster in the last couple of seasons that it was like Daisy Dukes that they were wearing basically, and
Right.
it's like maybe be a little bit more modest than that. But I think for safety reasons, if that adds a knee pad, I think that's very important because there's too many knee injuries. So that's where I stand.
Maya, you want to weigh in on this topic?
Yeah, I'm a doctor's kid, so always in favor of safety. But I agree with what Pete said. I'm gonna sleep easy tonight, regardless of the situation. I feel like sometimes we're focusing on the wrong stuff. I mean, I think guys should be wearing knee pads anyways, but maybe we can start focusing on better helmets, better things to keep these guys safe. Maybe guys not having brick walls at the end of the stadium that guys can run into and get a concussion. So I think step in the right direction has no bearing on my life, but if it helps guys stay a little bit more safe, I think always good in the long run.
Okay, that's some good thoughts. I like that. You sound like somebody's mom. But aside from that, Maya,
I will say with the brick wall, the Chicago Cubs do just fine with it.
they really do. Let me see if I can show you this. It's on my phone. It's Tate Sandell, the kicker at Oklahoma. Let's see if we can see this. I don't know if you can or not. But that is crazy the way he had those pants pulled up like that, regardless if the guy's a kicker or not. You guys see that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. That just looks, I don't know, dumb.
Maybe it helps him kick better. I don't know, because there's nothing restricting his knee. But he's also not going to be getting laid out like the rest of the other guys.
Yeah, but you never know.
Yeah, he won't be
kickers.
losing the kneecap as much.
Yeah, this guy's probably going to kick in the NFL. I shouldn't be bad-mouthing him too much, but yeah, I was just...
Hey, he's kicking for your team.
Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox now, okay? I'm getting off of it. We've kind of stated our thoughts on this particular situation with the high water pants. Remember back, you'd get made fun of when you had to wear high water pants to school. These are high water football pants. Okay, enough out of me. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk high school basketball. It's getting down to the nitty gritty, so close to being called champions of the state of Texas. That is when we come back. Stay with us. We are back with West Texas Sports Extra. High school basketball season down to the very few, the elite in the state of Texas, whether it's in the Panhandle or on the South Plains or in the Permian Basin. We'll find out what's going on down there. But first off, let's start off with Maya. We've got a couple of girls teams who are in the state championship, and also some boys teams are kind of finding their way to get to San Antonio, right?
Yes, we do have a little bit of crossover with some KCVD teams. Of course, the Nazareth, starting with the girls, Nazareth Swiftettes. I mean, I feel like they're an auto lock for at least a state semifinal every year. But the state semifinal for them this year was not easy whatsoever. I remember listening to the radio call. It ended up being a 2-point game, taking down the number one team that was also undefeated. I believe they're now 35-1 in Gordon. Nazareth punches their ticket back to the state championship. They're looking for title number 27. They lead the entire state of Texas in state championships. And their record right now, and we hope to make it 27-5, it is currently 26-5 at the state title. So excited for them. They get a rematch with Saltillo. That's the team that they played last year in the state championship game. So they play tomorrow. Zach, we've already kind of mentioned, is on his way out there right now. And so hoping for the best from the Swiftettes. They are just a powerhouse every single year, reloading. Pete, you guys also cover them. We know just how dominant they are every single year.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. I mean, all they do is get in the gym every day and practice, and they play they play Amarillo, they play all these top teams in non-district, and then they just flow through 1A, and so they got another chance. It's what time is it? It's a 1 p.m. Thursday game at the Alamo Dome, and man, Eric Schilling does a phenomenal job. Phenomenal.
All right, Jensen, any girls teams left in the Permian Basin having a chance or have advanced to San Antonio?
We are unfortunately wiped clean of the basketball season here in the Permian Basin on both the girls' side and the boys' side. We just had two teams remaining kind of in our coverage area for the boys' team going into Monday and Tuesday. Sands loses on Monday. That was a pretty close one against Nazareth. Actually, that was just a 1 point loss. Sands loses that, so they are out. And then we were down to one final team in the form of Buena Vista taking on a good Monday team near the Wichita area. And I mean, it was looking pretty decent to start off. It was just a 1 point game at half last night up in Brownfield, but both teams are out. Buena Vista ended up losing by 12 or 13 points. They are out, so all of our teams are done. So when it comes to basketball, it is a couple remaining collegiate programs. No high school, though, here in the Permian Basin.
Okay, Jensen, thank you. And Maya, back to you now. How about on the boys' side? How's this shaping up at this point as we get into the regionals?
Before we get into the boys really quick, also want to touch on the Panhandle Ets. They lost in the state semifinals this year. They're into the state championship this year. So really excited for them. You know, they have worked so hard. They lost some key girls last year, but they are, you know, 100% in. Sorry, I don't know if you lost my camera. It glitched a little bit there. You know, they are just such a great team. Excited to see what they do. And Zach will also be getting that coverage. That is also tomorrow. So excited for the Ets. But if we're talking about the boys, Panhandle is also still alive. They won a 2 overtime game last Friday in the area round to punch their ticket to the regional semifinals. They won in the regional semifinals, and now they're playing Greg's beloved Wellington Skyrockets this week. That is on Friday. That's for a chance. That is for the regional final and a chance to punch their ticket to the state semifinal. I believe they're the only team besides Nazareth that also still has, they're the only team that still has a girls team and a boys team. And Nazareth is into the regional finals. They will play Whit Harrell. That's one of Pete's teams. That's also on Friday. Still got Valley. I know that's also one of Pete's teams. We have a lot of overlap here in the Panhandle South Plains area. They're going to be taking on one of Greg's other beloved teams, the Boys Ranch Rough Riders.
That's right.
That will be tomorrow. Valley was one of those teams that actually got to the state championship game last year. Really hard fought battle. They've got a set of brothers that are incredible. I know in the off season they go play at like an elite team. I don't know exactly what it's called, but they are very good, very fun to watch. I've already mentioned Panhandle. Groover having an amazing year. Their girls lost in the state semifinals in double overtime, but the Greyhounds are having a great year. They're playing another one of KCBD's teams, New Home, tomorrow. And then the West Plains Wolves, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces on the football field that are on the basketball court. It's a really senior-heavy team. They're going to be taking on Burke Burnett. They're the only team from Class 4A still alive. Everybody else is either 2A or 1A. So excited for West Plains. They got to the regional finals last year. We'll see if they can get over that hump and get to the state semifinals. It would be the first time in program history, but they'll be playing out in Childress on Friday. I know that was a lot of words, but we're very thankful to have a bunch of teams in right now. We're still having plenty of coverage on it as well.
No, I think it's pretty cool that we can, in the Panhandle, we could possibly brag about, you know, the twin killing here of getting Panhandle and Nazareth in, boys and girls. That would be pretty cool. And Pete, you're very familiar with the Nazareth team. So how are the teams faring down in the South Plains?
Well, besides Nazareth, we have 3 other girls teams, one other UIL. Shallowater got a big win over number 9 Emory Rains last night. So the 18th ranked Phillies are playing unranked Hitchcock. That's a 1 o'clock game Friday. We'll be out at the Alamo Dome for that. And then KCBD slides over into New Mexico. We got a couple teams there. The Hobbs Lady Eagles are number 1 in Class 5A. And I got to look, they're playing Piedra Vista. Not familiar with them, but they're number 16 seed. And then the Lovington girls are number 9. They play number 8 Portales. And then we have 12 area boys teams still playing. And usually I can go off the top of my head, got to look at some notes. We got the Lubbock Cooper Liberty Patriots. They got number 24 Brock, who knocked out Estacado in the first round. They play on Friday in Clyde. And then we got a Shallowater Brownfield showdown. They're meeting at the Rip Griffin Center. Valley, of course, playing Boys Ranch tomorrow in Dimmitt. Whit Harrell and Nazareth playing in Littlefield. We'll be out there for that one. And then number 1, Jayton, who's won 2 straight football titles. They're going for their 3rd straight basketball title. Little Jayton playing Little Ira, and they're playing 7 o'clock Friday night at the United Supermarkets Arena. I think that is so awesome. Little schools playing in the big gym. So other than them, we also got the Hobbs Eagles with Red Raider Ronald Ross. They're number 5. They got Oregon Mountain coming in. That is going to be a Saturday evening game out there. And I think I mentioned Shallow and Brownfield. That game, by the way, is at the Rip Griffin Center, 2 p.m. Saturday, because Friday the Shallow girls are playing. Everybody wants to be there for that so they can get back and then see the boys. So we got plenty of teams to cover too. And of course, we're going to talk about March Madness and Big 12. So, sports is always bitty in little itty bitty Lubbock, and we're thankful.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Pete. It is March Madness. And I can remember not so long ago that it was a 2-game event with the state tournament when they would send a semifinal and a finals game. I don't know. To me, it's, with only 1 game now, it's not the event that it used to be necessarily. And if you got to go cover some teams, you got to extend your stay in Austin or San Antonio from way back when. So
yeah, I was there last year, and teams wanted to play 2 games, and so they only did it because of this split of Division I, Division II. We lost the regional tournaments. That's what I'm upset about. I love going to South Plains College for 1A and 2A, and the Farwell girls battling, and then Panhandle and Wellington would come down, and we're like, we're going to beat those girls this year. And then they knocked the snot out of us, and we're like, man, those girls are good. And, the best plays the best, and that's what I like. But no regional tournament anymore. In fact, the Groover girls played Lipan, who's always a top team. They met at Slayton the other night, a state semifinal in Slayton. I thought that was crazy. It was double overtime. And Groover, by the way, has the best state send-offs. All these horses, guide riding horses. I think I'm watching Bonanza, Gunsmoke, and the bus goes by. I love me some Groover. Love Groover. That's all I want to say.
That is pretty impressive. You're right about that. And no doubt it is March Madness. And we're going to get into that when we come back on West Texas Sports Extra. We're going to talk college basketball on the men's side. So stick around and stay with West Texas Sports Extra. You are watching West Texas Sports Extra. I am Greg Kerr, along with Maya Kitchens, Pete Christie, and Jensen Young. All right, we have college basketball. We talked about March Madness. Well, we are in the throes of it right now because it's almost tournament time. Some unfinished business going on in the Big 12 right now, Pete, with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Since the injury to J.T. Toppin, where they rip off like 4 straight wins, and then TCU beat them the other day. So I think this team is still in pretty good position.
Yeah, they got a big win at number 4 Iowa State. I don't think anybody thought they were going to win, and they led from the get-go and really, really played well that game. Donovan Atwell was just tremendous. And then you come around and you lose at home to TCU on senior night. Now TCU, it's not like they got a losing record. I think that was their 22nd win. But, the Big 12's tough. And so Texas Tech had moved up to number 10. They're going to drop a little bit this weekend. They got to go to BYU. That's a tough game. And then they head to Kansas City. So 5 wins over top 10 teams. I mean, this team, if they get it together, can really make a run. And of course, JT Toppin not playing, but he is there on the sideline. He's like another coach now. And, that guy's doing everything he can as, basically a cheerleader and another pair of eyes and being a coach. So, prayers for JT on a quick recovery. And I know if that money's right, he'll be back next year.
Yeah, and Pete, they have Texas Tech, maybe a 4 seed, but you look at some of the wins with Houston, Arizona, Iowa State, and Duke.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite the resume going into tournament time.
Yeah, I was out with a bunch of media today. Everybody thinks they're going to San Diego, and I'm like, I'm in. Let's go.
I know you are, for sure. All right, Maya, let's switch gears down to the Lone Star Conference. Right now, Eastern New Mexico's not in the catbird seat, but in second place. That's a pretty good spot for ENMU. And also West Texas holding on to that 7th spot.
Yeah, it's not quite the Big 12 or March Madness, CBS, but, it is what it is. And I think the Lone Star Conference, it's something that the coaches talked about every week, is this is one of the most competitive years in the Lone Star Conference. And, you think about West Texas A&M, lost a couple of guys to the D1, in SFA, couple of your key guys, really. And so this is a really new team. But I think the guys that they brought, if we'll start with WT, I think the guys that they brought in are extremely solid, but their cohesiveness sometimes is to be desired. I think, there's been God knows how many overtime games this season where they just cannot pull it out. Picked up a win to end the regular season, which I thought was really, really crucial for them on Saturday. They knew that they were going to be in the tournament after picking up 2 big wins the week before, but they are going into the Lone Star Conference tournament as the 7 seed, going 20-10 overall, 12-8 in Lone Star Conference play, and they will be playing their rival, Eastern New Mexico, in the first round, which I don't know how I feel about that because they're both our teams, and I would have liked to continue following both of them into the next round. But we know that we're going to have at least one team going into that second round. It was a hard-fought battle between the Greyhounds and the Buffs during the regular season. I mean, neither of those games were gimme games for either team. ENMU would end up sweeping the regular season. They're currently ranked number 11. I think this has been their best season in program history. They're 24-4 right now, 17-3 in conference play, and they are taking that 2 seed. And what they've been able to do, they have the cohesiveness that WT lacks. I think a lot of guys returned from last year. They've got a lot of great guys. Size, they've got Jose and under the basket most of the time, but everybody else just really works well together. So I think that's going to be a great game. It's on Thursday out in Frisco, so we'll have to see what happens, but really excited for ENMU. I think they've really turned the corner as far as the program goes. So excited to see what they do. I know WT, we hope, they're keeping some of these key guys into next year, but you want to get in the tournament. Now everybody is 0-0.
That's right. And roll out the wagon wheel. Let's play another game for bragging rights between Eastern New Mexico and West Texas. Jensen, tough year for UT PB and also Sol Ross, but I tell you, my eye really caught Midland College and Howard College, both these teams right with 25 wins.
Yes. I hate to kind of, in terms of the Lone Star Conference, have a similar thing to say as I did with high school basketball, but it is not a good look in Division II basketball right now. But JUCO men's basketball definitely runs through the Permian Basin. Unfortunately, without Odessa College being a part of that in the conference tournament, they were so good to start the year. And I mean, we had all 3 schools of Odessa College, Howard College, and Midland College were all top 10 teams for a couple of different weeks in junior college men's basketball, nationally ranked in the top 10. Now Odessa College didn't have a great conference schedule, and going into the game on Monday, they had a shot to go still. They were 4 games back with 4 games to go, then 3 games back with 3 games to go. So they were doing what they needed to, and they still won on Monday. But the other top 4 teams also ended up winning. Howard College did lose, but they are the top team. They are safe in. And now with the other 3 teams at 2 through 4 winning, Odessa College is out. Important to note that why I am talking about them missing out is because they are the hosts of the WAC-JAC Conference tournament. So the hosts will not be in it. Howard College is still number 1 in the conference. However, they do play Midland at number 2 in the conference right now for the final home game for the final regular season game of the year. That is tomorrow, so that is going to determine a lot. And if Midland College can beat Howard College and then get some of the other 2 games to go their way, Midland College could jump Howard College and be the regular season champion. Basically, it's all up for grabs with 1 to 2 games left, depending on a couple of different schools going into the final home games.
All right, that's great stuff. We're going to talk women's basketball when we come back. West Texas Sports Extra. Back. West Texas Sports Extra rolls on. Time now to put the ball in the women's court. And Maya, the Lone Star Conference tournament, it was really Texas women's pretty much all the way, but West Texas hanging around right there and Eastern New Mexico also in the tournament, right?
Yes, talk about a team that has, been so deserving of the success that they've had in WT. What a season for them. It's so fun to talk to them on Mondays. The coaches, of course, Coach Proct is just an amazing job, such a great guy. And what he's been able to do with this team this year. I feel like they did not live up to their potential last year with a lot of great girls. They returned most of their team into this year, and now we're finally seeing the cohesiveness and the success. 26-3 overall, 18-2 in conference play. Only 2 losses were, of course, to Texas women's. That was an overtime loss at home, and then to Eastern New Mexico, also an overtime loss at home, I believe, or just a regular season loss at home. I know they went to overtime in Portales. There's been so many games this season, so please bear with me. But what an amazing season so far for them. And one thing that Proc will say about this team is they just absolutely love each other. I think good relationships breed success, and that's exactly what the Lady Buffs have been able to do. A very senior-heavy team, and so for these girls, I think when you have that mentality, it just means more. Every single game just means a little bit more. So they are the 2 seed going into the conference tournament. They will be playing on Friday versus St. Mary's. The Rattlers are the 7 seed, so excited to see what happens. In a perfect world, I think it's going to be Texas women's and WT back in the championship, but we'll see what happens. But don't count out Eastern New Mexico. They are the 5 seed. Ended the season 19-9 and 15-5 in conference play, picking up some really, really crucial wins. I think their best win this season is that road win against WT. So what a season they had. They started off really strong, kind of got lost in the weeds a little bit in the middle, and then figured it out. Like I said, they are the 5 seed, taking on the number 4 seed this week in Lubbock Christian, another really, really solid powerhouse. I know Pete can touch more on that, but I know our teams, at least here in our viewing area, in that Lubbock game is always one that's circled on the calendar. So excited to see what our teams do this week. I'm glad that WT and ENMU are not playing each other. That is something I don't have to worry about. But excited to see what the women do. It's always great to see the success from them.
All right, this Lone Star Conference for the women going on in Frisco. The tournament is there. And Jensen, you talk about having a tough road to hoe. You've got the number 4 seed, UTMB, right? Are they the number 8 seed?
UTPB has the number 1 seed.
They're taking on Texas women's. Okay, yeah. Elaborate on that. Sorry, I got a little confused on the seeding, but anyway.
No worries. Yeah. It's the second straight year with UT Permian Basin taking on Texas women's in the first round. I don't know if they were the number 1 team in the nation last year, but they sure are this year. So it is the hardest start you can possibly have to a conference tournament in the nation because you're playing number 1. And anytime you're number 1, going to be seen as the underdog. And these Lady Falcons have been the underdog for the majority of this season, having started the season with such a brand new team. I mean, there was only a couple of holdovers from the previous year, and even fewer from 3 years ago. I think that there's like one girl that's been on one player that's been on the team for the last 3 seasons. By the way, she will have played Texas women's all 3 seasons because I believe 3 seasons ago they played in the second round, to my knowledge. But this is the second year in a row playing the Pioneers in the first round. So definitely difficult, but Coach Ray Booth and her Falcons, they are ready for it. They've been in the gym. They are ready to go. They are as ready as they definitely will be. It's going to be, like I said, as hard of a first round matchup as you can possibly get. But they are going to give it everything that they have, and especially for the couple seniors on the roster, they really want to play for that because as much as this is a brand new team, they have gelled together so well, and they want to play for each other to extend their season and have more time together. That really, really, truly matters to this UTBB team. As far as some junior college goes, we are out with Odessa and Midland. The top 4 has been solidified for a little while now. Well, I mean, it's over at this point, but the top 4 has been known for a while now. There's not really much margin. There's a lot of margin, between 4 and 5 in the conference. So you have Clarendon taking the regular season title by a wide margin, undefeated in conference. And then you have 3 teams tied at 9 and 4 at 2, 3, and 4. Howard College, the only one getting in from the Permian Basin area. South Plains College does get in on the women's side, so there you go for Pete. Some more women's basketball in the South Plains area. They do get in there, and that will also be at Odessa College. Odessa College hosting both the men's and women's tournaments, and the hosts are not in it on either side. So a little bit surprising going into the year, but that's how it all comes out. You got to play the games and see what happens. They played them, didn't make it.
Hey, Pete, you can transition off this Lone Star Conference talk. Talk about, it seems like Lubbock Christian's always in the mix and always putting good teams out on the court. Does this Lady Chaparral team have enough to make it to the finals in the SLC, and then you can transition on into Texas Tech?
Yeah, when you got a coach like Steve Gomez, 3 national titles, Marcia Sharp got the highway here. I mean, where's Steve Gomez's road? Or he should get a whole plot of land. I don't know. The guy's done a phenomenal job. Gets a lot of local girls and then girls from other programs, Wall and up in the Panhandle, who are dominant, and they know it. Canyon and all these schools, and they come in here and they crush it. But they got Eastern New Mexico 4 against 5. It is the late game, 8:30 p.m. Slated for that time. Probably won't even start till 8:45 or 9. You know how those games run late, but that's the first game in Frisco. But I expect Lubbock Christian to make a run. Them and Eastern really tied for 4, but Lubbock Christian got the 4 seed. But that's going to be a big battle. And but then Texas Women's College is the one to beat, and man, that's going to be tough. But you want to have a chance for sure. And then for the Lady Raiders, they closed out the regular season over the weekend and won at home against Arizona State. A lot of seniors honored before the game, including Groover's own Bailey Maupin. I mean, been here all 4 years. I think she's up to number 4 on the scoring list. They ought to have those dudes on those horses ride by that bus going out to Kansas City. I'm sure they flew. I doubt they took a bus. We drive out to those events, but that would have been cool if the bus went by and they went through Groover. But I'm dreaming. Anyway, the Lady Raiders 25-6. Haven't had this type of record in over 20 years. They are the number 5 seed. So they're not playing today in Kansas City. They were awaiting a game today that has finished. Kansas State beat Cincinnati 91-66. So it is Kansas State taking on Texas Tech tomorrow. I believe it's 11 a.m. Our Shelby Rhodes is out there for that one. But Krista Gerlich named the Big 12 Coach of the Year. The crowds are back. This is what she has dreamed of. And to be honest, she almost got let go at the end of this year, that past year. And then when she didn't get Aaliyah Chavez, man, I thought she was in trouble. But man, they really reloaded. They got some young ladies in who really care about the Lady Raiders and getting them back on the map, and they're back on the map. And so they're going to be in the tournament. Krista Gerlich said yesterday she's probably going to cry when she hears Texas Tech called for the NCAA tournament. But hopefully they can make some runs in this Big 12 tournament. They lose to the lower seeded team, so I'm a little worried about this Kansas State game. But they beat Baylor twice, they beat TCU. So if they can get up and play some of the bigger teams, I think they really have a chance to do something well. But their name is going to be called, and I'm super excited for them. So a lot of women's basketball. South Plains, Lubbock Christian, Wayland Baptist struggling this year, not as high as they usually are, and of course the Lady Raiders. So March Madness, and we're excited about it. We want March Gladness and not March Sadness.
Absolutely. You can get in trouble playing down to your competition too.
You're right.
That's not a good thing, and it comes back to haunt you sooner or later. We're going to talk baseball and softball on West Texas Sports Extra. That's coming up next. Welcome back to West Texas Sports Extra. Talking baseball and softball right now. And Maya, let's start it off with some softball because once again, West Texas A&M is right there in the mix in the Lone Star Conference. Again, another good team for the Lady Buffs.
Yeah, talk about a powerhouse squad under head coach Michael Mook. I mean, he is very soft-spoken and, he'll talk for 2 minutes in our press conferences, but he doesn't really have to say much for the production that they put out there on the field every single year. They are incredible. Losing Emily Boyer, the star, two-way player. She was both pitcher, first baseman. When she had a bat in her hand, run for the hills type of deal. she was incredible, ends up going to Ole Miss. And so of course you want your players to get to that next level. You never want them to leave, but having somebody like her that's been there is a great recruiting tool, and I think they've really used that to their advantage. Seems like a pretty even team this year. It's not, and that's something that Coach Mook has said, is there's not just one girl on here that's going to get it done. It's a really big team effort. Of course, still early in the season. They're 7-1 in conference play. Only dropped one game so far this season in conference play to Oklahoma Christian, I believe, on a 4-game win streak, and they're 17-3 overall. You know, I believe this time last year they're still undefeated in conference play, but it's just a different team. And, you know, like we continue to say, you want to be at the top at the end of the season when the tournament comes around, and I think they're going to be in a great position for that. They've got 2 big trips this weekend, both ENMU and WT, going to Western New Mexico and then going to Sul Ross. So talk about going to Silver City and then going all the way to Alpine. Not an easy trip. Hoping for the best for them. ENMU struggling a little bit this year, but hoping for the best from them. 7-8 overall and 3-5 in conference play on a 1-game losing streak, but still really early in the season. They are going to get the opposite, right? So they'll start with Sul Ross in the weekend with Western New Mexico. Still really early in the season, but I think, you know, if we're talking about who has a really good chance of doing great stuff this year, WT is always going to be in the mix on the softball side.
All right, and, you know, Pete, they say Alpine is beautiful this time of year, but, you know, what's really beautiful is that Texas Tech softball record. They won 22 out of 23. Just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, they're number 2 in the nation. We're number 1. They lost that one game to who was it? Nebraska, but just came home. First games for them, and they really went 6-0, looking good. And Nigeri Kennedy had a no-hitter in the first game of a doubleheader, and then Caitlin Terry had a no-hitter in the nightcap. So Nigeri Kennedy, the Big 12 pitcher of the week, Caitlin Terry, the Big 12 player of the week, because she also batted like .755 for the week. So Texas Tech loaded. They begin Big 12 play this week. They are at Houston starting Friday.
All right, Jensen, kind of a slow start right now for the Lone Star Conference clubs in your area, but junior college baseball, Midland College putting a good baseball team out there as well right now at 14-2.
Yeah, well, it was 14-0. So 14-2 is not great to where it was this time last week. It was an incredible start to the year with some astronomical offensive numbers. I remember I was telling you guys about one of those games that I was at. It was 20-0 that they put up 20 runs, including 13 of them in one inning, and gave up no runs. A massive shutout. And I mean, I was talking about are they going to lose? Not a when they're going to lose. But then, Greg, you're going to like this one. Weatherford College comes in, and they say, how about 2 losses? So Weatherford College takes it to them twice, scoring 14 in one game, 19 in the second game. And Weatherford College not only breaks the undefeated season, but breaks it twice. Wow. So congratulations, Greg, for your old school.
Those Coyotes, man, that's super.
Work. So, you know, yeah, definitely the 14-2 is still nothing to you know, pay not pay attention to. I guess you should still pay attention to 14-2, but 14-0 was much better. But Midland College will be totally fine. They are a fantastic team, and they can put up runs like nothing. They've had a game recently, only a few games ago, where they scored 25 runs in one game. I mean, if you can do that, doesn't matter what the level is. If you can do that, you can do that. So they'll be fine. When it comes to UT Permian Basin, they haven't had like the best start in terms of they haven't won a series yet. But this past series was also the first time that they got swept. You know, so they're where they need to be. There's a lot of close games. They haven't been swept much, or excuse me, they haven't won much, but they also have taken a game in each series up until this most recent one. So the Falcons are right there, and it still is all about Damian Robles on the mound for them. It still is the case that I've been talking about. All 4 wins on the year for UTPB baseball has come when Damian Robles has started the game. Of those 4 wins, he's credited for 3 of those, but that 4th win for the team, he started the game. So they definitely have their ace. They have their man. They need someone else to step up and be able to pitch the team to some wins. That's the big thing, is they need someone else to be the difference maker. They're able to get enough runs across the board. They're able to win with Damian Robles starting, but they just can't finish off with getting some games. As far as softball goes, it's also kind of been a lot of success for Midland College softball up until recently. They were also undefeated, I believe, through 13 games, and they've since been losing a little bit and dropped that undefeated season. Odessa College had a really good really tough start to the year, very high ranking, and they showed it during February, but they lost twice to Temple College, and they just beat Blinn College to end out February. They've started March already with a couple of losses, but to end out February, the month of February, where they had such a great month, they beat number 7 Blinn College twice to finish it off. So it's kind of a situation of they need to find a little bit of stability in whatever it is, but when they find the stability for the Wrangler softball team, it's going to be very good. That's where it stands.
All right. And Pete, you want to step back in the box, and are we getting a feel for Texas Tech baseball right now, or is it too early for clarity?
Yeah, I think it's too early. You know, they got swept with those tough teams at Globe Life Field, but then they ripped off 7 in a row before losing the final game to Cal State Bakersfield. But just went and talked to Tim Tadlock about an hour ago. We got Penn State coming in this weekend, and he's excited for a Big Ten team to come in. You know, those East Coast teams, we had that little winter storm here, but it has been 70 and 80 since.
Yeah.
Penn State tried to play St. John's yesterday at home. That game got canceled. They're supposed to play today, but the weather's not favorable there. So I'm sure those guys are excited to come to Lubbock. Previous to trying to play these at home, Penn State went to the Bahamas to play. So the Nittany Lions are 3-6. Tech is 7-4. But Tim Tadlock expects his team to really bring it at home this weekend. And in fact, the Friday game is the first night game at home. All those games with the California school were in the afternoon, so a first nightcap at Danlaw Field. Hopefully a big crowd out there, and Tim Tadlock likes his guys. He's ready, and we'll see what they can do. Big 12 against Big 10.
All right, very good. So it sounds like the Bahamas this time of year, I know, is very lovely, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but if you're at Penn State and you get to go there, maybe they're not excited coming to Lubbock, but maybe they'll eat some of our food and say, wow, we like Lubbock.
Well, if they're not excited.
Oh, boob. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
And if they're not excited, that's a good reason for a beatdown on Penn State. Right.
That's right.
Very, very quick, Maya, you want to touch on Amarillo College and West Texas baseball?
Yeah, for sure. You know, Amarillo College had a rough start to the year. A lot of pitching issues, got ahead in some of these games, and then sometimes could not put runs up on the board. And so I think they're kind of starting to weather the storm a little bit. Conference play begins, this week in Odessa College. So they're 7-12 right now, and conference play is a whole different beast. So 0-0. So we'll hope to make that, that record look a little better later in the week. As far as WT goes, really, really tough start to the season. And head coach Corey Hall could tell you that plainly. Just watch Sports Drive when he's on. He'll tell you. I think they had a lot of issues at the beginning of the season, and now they hold the longest win streak in the Lone Star Conference in 10 wins. So 12-6, if that tells you they were 2-6 at one point. But it's going to be a really, really tough weekend for them facing UT Tyler. They're the number 9th ranked team, and one of their coaches was at the press conferences on Monday, and he said, this is going to be where we see what our team is made of when we're playing tough competition like this. So definitely going to be a tough schedule, but I think in the sport of baseball and softball, when you start winning games, you have confidence, and that confidence breeds success. So we'll see what happens there. As far as ENMU goes, really tough start to the season, 4-14, in both overall in conference. And I want to mention, because the Lone Star Conference continues to add teams, there's no time to play non-conference games. And if you're in the Lone Star Conference, there just isn't. There's so many games. You're already playing a million games, and there's just no time to add them. So 4-14, they're getting to play Permian Basin this weekend. So we'll get to see what happens with that. But I think we've all really touched on it really early in the season. Still plenty of time to grow for all of these teams. I know WT has really been facing some injuries, and so when you play, like I said, a million games, I feel like somebody's going to get injured here and there. We'll see what happens, but excited for the season. I know we're going to really start covering our baseball, softball teams once basketball finishes up. So we'll make sure that we're giving you guys that coverage.
All right, very good. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have our extra points. So get your thoughts together. We want to hear it. Stick around. All right, it is time for our extra points here on West Texas Sports Extra. Who wants to go first? Pete, you're in the batter's box right now, so go ahead and give us your extra point tonight.
Well, I mean, it's March, so it's all about March Madness. The Red Raiders at BYU this weekend. Lady Raiders got Kansas State tomorrow in the Big 12 championship tournament in Kansas City. And then all these basketball games. You got Shallowater playing for a state title. Nazareth girls playing for a state title. You can't forget Hobbs and Lovington. And then all of our boys teams, Lubbock Cooper, Liberty, Shallowater, Brownfield, Whit Harrell. Just so excited. You got to win to keep playing. But if you lose, you break out the track shoes because it's over. So you got to try to win and keep going. So I'm all about that. We want our teams to keep winning. I do tend to cry when one of our teams wins a state title, because when you win a state title, you are a state champion for life. 5-year reunions, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You bring your kids, you're married, you're a state champion forever. And some of these kids think of the here and now, but I don't think they realize when you're a state champion, it is a lifetime achievement.
Pete, you're a crier too? I sometimes have that problem when my teams win.
Happy tears are good tears.
That's right, and we're man enough to admit it.
Amen.
I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it.
How about your extra point?
Well, talking about March and March Madness, it sure is that time for my alma mater to step up, Pete. Come on now, let's go Gators. As soon as Maya, thank you to Missouri for beating the Gators and then starting our absolute run. After the Gators lost to Missouri, we've been on a tear. We are ready for March. Come on, you Gators!
These Gators are good. Yeah.
A little bit of a local extra point, if I may. So at the later part of last week, we had the first rodeo of the calendar year for Odessa College, and it included a lot of these schools that we all three talk about. So kind of where it ended up standing, Odessa College did not have a great go at it. They have a lot of high expectations, but they were also taking on some Division II programs, some Division I programs in Texas Tech as well was there. So maybe that's the reason, is because they have such incredible competition that they are going against. But some of their individually nationally high-ranked competitors also didn't have the best night. But in terms of where we kind of stand with that, let's see. We have the Howard College women finished second, so shout out to Big Spring in our area. Texas Tech for Pete there, 5th on the women's side and 6th on the men's side. South Plains College finished 5th on the men's side and 3rd on the women's side. So very good for them there. West Texas A&M up in Canyon there, last on both the men's and women's side. A combined 40 points there. So not too good there for the Buffs, but definitely looking to be decent on that side. Eastern New Mexico, by the way, very good rodeo team. 3rd on the men's side, and they won the women's side of the rodeo. So watch out for Eastern New Mexico if you are gambling on some college rodeo. I don't suggest gambling. I'm not a gambling man myself, but if you're betting, Eastern New Mexico women are pretty good. So that's right. That's my little local extra point for you there. But the biggest one is go Gators.
Yes, exactly. And Jensen, we don't promote gambling here on West Texas Sports Extra, but some good points there. And we even talk about rodeo. I mean, we cover it all right here. All right, Maya, I don't know about the hold being very good from Jensen there, but give us your extra point.
Let me start off by saying I grew up an Auburn fan. I'm from Alabama, and I went to Mizzou. How Auburn and Mizzou beat Florida this year, who knows? I talked to my dad about it. I'm like, how did this happen? So
I mean, I'm happy to go back to last year's March Madness matchup against Auburn.
Yeah, I'm good. As far as, local goes, I love covering our track teams here. I'm excited for high school track, but what WT is able to do in the Lone Star Conference. You know, winning, the women just won their 13th consecutive title. The men just won their 8th title at the Lone Star Conference Championships. 10 individual and relay event wins for WT women. So shout out, always love promoting our women's sports. And then on the men's side, I believe 4 or 5 won. And so we're sending 21 athletes from WT all the way to Virginia Beach. I'm very jealous. Why can't I go to Virginia Beach and watch them run? Because it sounds very warm there. But no, really excited for these track teams. When you talk about a perennial team, you think about WT. And so really excited. That's going to be in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks now. So we'll make sure we have coverage of all that. You know, Tanaya Stevens, our other sports reporter, actually ran track at the Division I level at Ohio University. So I always, you know, talk to her a little bit about what these teams are able to do. Very impressive. And we hope we bring home some national championships.
All right, my extra point, talk about this Nazareth girls basketball team. You go back to 1976-77 was the first time that the Swiftettes won a state championship. They were playing Class B back then. And the really interesting thing about that year, I think, was the last year that they played 3-on-3. They played half court. So they had 6 players on one end, 6 players on the other end. They played, you know, you got the rebound, you dribbled to half court, and you passed it over. And that's how they played women's high school basketball, girls high school basketball in Texas. And I think, I don't know, Pete, you may remember this, but I think Iowa was the last school to stop playing 6-on-6 like that. But, you know, you look at what they've done, and we talked about it earlier in the show, going for a 27th state title. That is just so impressive, and it starts all the way back, should I admit this, my junior year in high school. Oh, my gosh. What has happened to the time, I ask you? And one other thing, I went and saw the Elvis movie over the weekend, the Elvis in Concert epic movie that's out now. Oh, I recommend it. The greatest entertainer of all time. You've got to go see it. And because the audio, it's like you're in concert. I was in...
Not sponsored.
Yeah, I was in
Not
Elvis heaven.
Not sponsored by the Elvis movie.
Right. I was in Elvis heaven for an hour and 40 minutes. It was fantastic. All right, thank you guys so much, Maya, Pete, Jensen, West Texas Sports Extra. We do appreciate you watching. We'll see you again next week.